Yeousch!
Yeousch, dammit. What's up everyone, I'm RagingAmish and welcome to Mission. When it comes to Modern Warfare 3, I can honestly say that the majority of the maps are at least okay. Mission is not one of them. I'm going to be very upfront with you guys. I don't like this turd of a map. Mission drives me nuts because of very poor design that could have been fixed in development. You have been given a disclaimer. I have a definite bias about Mission and do not deny it. With that said, let's take a look at Mission on paper. The map is medium sized but still has an incredibly fast pace comparable to Dome. Half the landscape is wide open areas, while the other half is composed of narrow hallways. Most players avoid the open air and instead opt for the close quarter combat. That's how Mission maintains its fast pace. Half of the map isn't even used. I'll go into detail on this point in a moment. Mission feels like a watered down version of Favela from Modern Warfare 2. Both Mission and Favela have the same look and urban feel. Favela encouraged action all over the map and is one of my favorites from MW2. Mission, on the other hand, boils down to a few critical choke points and a little more. As I've said before, Mission is all about close quarter combat, so I highly advise bringing a shotgun, SMG, dual machine pistols, or an assault rifle to the battlefield. You need to round corners fast and gun down whoever's in front of you. As for your perks, I personally like Sleight of Hand coupled with Quick Draw. Each of these perks will keep you nimble in close quarter fights. As for the yellow perk, I prefer Sit Rep, Stalker, or Steady Aim. Sit Rep Pro makes perfect sense in close quarter combat. You can hear the enemy coming and get the jump on unsuspecting foes. Stalker and Steady Aim are the complete opposite. Instead of using intelligent play, you opt for brute force. Use these perks to muscle your way through every gunfight you encounter. Up next is the map itself. I have a hard time calling out landmarks for Mission, so forgive me if my callouts feel somewhat vague. The long corridor over here is what I like to call Death Alley. The nickname is highly suggestive, I know, but I'll go into more detail in a bit. The center area is a churchyard, which is a borderline maze. This section of the map is nothing but narrow hallways and corners. Also, you have the bridge in the southwest, and what I like to call the sniper nest in the northeast. I've noticed players love to snipe down into Death Alley and camp in this location to their heart's content. Someone will be here for the majority of the match. Mission features the private military contractors fighting the African militia. The PMCs start up in the sniper's nest while the African militia start just west of the bridge. Each of these spawns are hot. You can count on one team spawning in either spot for at least half the match. Once you get away from the starting spawns, I say the map has one more hot spawn in the southeast corner of the map. It's tucked away behind a few buildings. As for the cold spawns, you've got one in the churchyard, one to the west of the sniper nest, another at the foot of the bridge, and one more in Death Alley. You may pop up in these spots if the enemy has taken all the hot spawns. Moving on, Mission doesn't really have any dead zones. Instead, I would argue the map has the polar opposite. Mission has a meat grinder. This is an area of the map that people avoid intentionally. For those who do venture here, you can count on dying very quickly. You can be shot from 3 different directions. I'm not sure how Mission plays out in objective game modes, but I can tell you in TDM, this area of the map will get you killed. Up next, here's a look at the hot routes. The flow of action on Mission all ends up in the center. The majority of people have wised up with time and don't venture into Death Alley, so that leaves 2 main areas, the churchyard and what I can best describe as the slums. Most gunfights will happen in the churchyard, but a few people will venture into the slums from time to time. Remember how I said Mission boils down to a few choke points? This corner back in the slums is one of them. I can almost guarantee someone will be waiting for you here if you're brave enough to round that corner. Don't be surprised when you find yourself fighting a camper or 2 in this section of the map. If your team can control this area, however, the back alley will serve you well. I like spawning here. You can decide if you would like to approach the churchyard from the north or the south. Still, I haven't addressed the main section of the map. I have put most of the hot routes in the center churchyard because that's where you'll find the action. Death Alley is a death trap. The slums can be a bit too campy for my taste. That leaves the churchyard, which will be an absolute cluster. You can count on 4 to 8 people fighting in this area for the entire match. In a nutshell, Mission's design is not very good. You've got 3 horrible sections to one poorly designed map. You've got a camper's paradise, a death trap, and a cluster. To be fair, Mission can be fun. This is one of only a few maps where shotguns stand a chance, and I'll be honest, I do like the fast action in the churchyard. I just don't like Death Alley or the slums. These areas could have been designed much better. Instead of having 3 avenues of combat, mission is simplified to the churchyard and how you approach it. I don't really like it when a map is that simple. Before I go, we've got one last subject to cover. Many of you have asked me to name where you should be looking for campers. I've assembled a quick montage of the spots that come to my mind. That concludes my review of Mission. I hope you enjoyed. Until next time, this is Raging Amish, checking out.